When you think of builds on 2B2T, you probably have a list of 5 to 10 builds that are iconic and set them above the rest. In those top builds, the value of wheat is probably in the top 5, or most certainly in the top 10. Maybe though you clicked on this video by chance and you have no idea what the value of the wheat is, or even what 2B2T is for that matter. In any case, stick around because we're about to go over the history of the value of wheat. The Valley of Wheat was the largest known sanctuary ever to exist on 2B2T. The wheat covered almost every block of grass around the area, spanning over 1,000 blocks from end to end in places. In addition, the valley also contained many ancient Egypt-style structures such as large pyramids, pillars, and sphinxes built using sandstone and netherrack. It is currently thought to be the most grieved landmark. There have been numerous repair attempts, the most prominent being by the Russians in 2021. However, the only successful restoration was by the Luminous Sandclave. The Valley of Wheat was built by Jaang, a player who did not really like to interact with other players. Jaang was the sole builder of the entire sanctuary. He spent his entire time in 2B2T building and expanding the valley in both of its constructional phases from 2011-2012 and late 2013 to 2014. To gather more players to visit his valley, Jaang built a pyramid in the nether which would lead players through a portal and into the Valley of Wheat. Jaang let players take food from the valley but never allowed them to build in it. During a trip through the nether, Jaang was attacked by another player but was saved by Autopia, who was one of the few players Jaang ever interacted with. Autopia gave Jaang gifts and protected the Valley of Wheat at all costs, killing anyone who did not replant the wheat. Autopia also invited the other players to the valley, such as XCC2, Passio5, ZXCWBZ1, and others. They all helped replant and remove any minor damage, such as lava casts and TNT craters. Autopia would continue to defend the valley with tooth and nail according to fit up until the Russian invasion. The base's existence was nearly universally respected. No one would destroy the base. Even Pop-Up once killed Jaang in the valley but did not grief it. One of the most notorious griefs on the Valley of Wheat was before the Russia War was committed by an old fag known as IMBJR. The valley was eventually restored by XCC2, Autopia, and others. However, the destruction following IMBJR's grief caused Jaang to leave 2B2T. Eventually, XCC2 and others left in early 2016, leaving Autopia to defend the valley. Despite these events, many other non-aligned players contributed to the restoring of the valley. During the events of the Russia War, the Valley of the Wheat was griefed once again by the resistance, some Team Russia members, and independent Russia new fags. The griefing of the valley was a major event of the Russia War as it escalated the veteran frustration against the Russians and pissed off several old fags. During the war and after, the valley was restored by Team Aurora and several other non-opponent players. Post-Russia War, a group called the Luminous Sandclave was formed and they began restoring the Valley of Wheat. The group consisted of only 5 active restorers at the time: Jade's Trouble, Oh That Yes, Distant Fosho, and Matthew 2,400,000. During this time, they would all work together to remove the lava casts, restore the pyramids that weren't covered in the massive lava casts, and do their best to rebuild the original land. Their efforts would result in absolute and total failure because of many griefs that inevitably ensued. After a while, the group began to tire of the same old cycle and started to doubt they were getting any progress done at all, and one by one, each member left. A few months later, Wallace 1020 and Matthew 2,400,000 would return to the valley and try once again to restore the ruins. To their dismay, they found out that someone or many had lava casted over the Pyramid of Bones in the southern pyramid. After some talking and planning, however, the two decided to lava cast the rest of the valley, for they thought that if they could just hide the valley from casual onlookers, that they would be able to get more work complete underneath. After this, the two blew up holes in the casts where the pass would be restored. After about a month, all the pyramids were restored completely, with Mule's central and eastern building being entirely out of obsidian. After this, the two went inactive for only a bit of time before a group known as the Luminous Enclave formed together and wanted to restore the valley too. They only restored the valley so many times, however, before going inactive. After a bit, both Wallace 1020 and Matthew 2,400,000 had gone completely inactive as well and were taking a small break from 2B2T. But soon enough, the two began their work on the valley again. This time, they decided that they were going to restore the valley completely and started to restore the pyramids of Mule's, Souls, and Central, and had made quick work of them, bringing them back to life for good. Unfortunately, they had run out of resources they needed to continue restoring the rest of the Valley of Wheat and went out to stash hunt for more materials. It was during this time that Paul Zihat found that the valley and decided that he wanted to restore it. After hearing about the attempted restoration by the Russians, Wallace 1020 and Matthew 2,400,000 returned. They were excited to see what these Russians had done, but were greatly disappointed when they found out that these new restorers had no intention of restoring the valley accurately at all. They immediately got to work removing the smaller Russian pyramid and using the obsidian to restore more of the original land. During this time, the two met other restorers who had also been restoring under the radar, named Egsund Ham, Joey _ IKIK, and Multicolor Splash, who had also disapproved of the recent public restoration of the Russians. After the Luminous Sandclave came back to attempt to restore the base one final time, a battle between the Sandclave and the members of Highway Workers Union and Backstreet Boys occurred, with over 10 people in participation, and the battle resulted in a draw between the sides. On July 2, 2022, the project originally started by Wallace 1020 and Matthew 2,400,000 to restore the Valley of Wheat was finished after 3 long years. Shortly after the project was finished, the players Wafusan, Primitive LXIX, and Samidus Sinchel griefed the restoration project. When I first joined 2B2T, it was when the Valley of Wheat was restored after the Russia War, so I had the pleasure of seeing firsthand the beauty of the Valley of Wheat. I grabbed some wheat, made some bread, and replanted the seeds that I had. I took one last look admiring the view and went on my way, not realizing it would be one of the last few times that the valley would be recognizable. So what does the Valley of Wheat look like in present day? This is the Valley of Wheat in its current state. It's full of lava casts and destruction everywhere. It doesn't appear anyone has retouched it since the 2022 restoration. The damage done here is pretty significant, but who knows, maybe one day another group will restore the Valley of Wheat again. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. Until next time, take it easy.